I'm Robin, he's Batman, is Rich Valdez. Richie V, what's going on?
What's going on, Teddy Ted? What's happening? No, no, no. You're Batman. I'm
Oh
Robin.
no. No, no, no. You're Batman. A little bit of everything. How's your day going? How's your weekend going?
Nice weekend, relaxing. Spent a whole bunch of time with the local grandbaby today. We were out at the park, me and her grandma and uncle and girlfriends, and just a nice time enjoying life. Trying to stay relaxed. Didn't do too much work around the house, even though the yard, that's next weekend's project.
Ah. Are you doing eventually I was thinking personally me, I was gonna wait until next month and pressure wash the home for the one time for the year. Do you do it early? I mean, do you do it like spring or do you wait till summer?
It's usually in spring. I'll usually wait till after the worst of spring, though, when most of the pollen's gone, so you can just wash that crap off. And off the sidewalks and all of that. Um, but yeah, but mid spring, then I'll take that out and wash everything down.
Um, let's see. I'm trying to get this correct. Let's see. Okay, that's a little bit better. Um, so yeah, it's Sunday. Rich, I'm gonna tell you, I think you had a nice day. I was putting on my other hat as a counselor, talking with some of my buddies
Hmm.
about some of their marriage problems, some of the some of the stuff that you go through.
Right.
And I wasn't trying to be a counselor. I was trying to be a hearer over a doer,
Okay.
and primarily just let them know that help is on the way. It gets better. Nothing is perfect, um, and you just got to stick with it.
Yeah, that is the most important thing. I mean, of course, um, if it's a situation where there's physical or emotional abuse, that kind of thing,
Right.
you don't have to necessarily stick with that. But yeah, anything else that I think that is one of the most important takeaways that anyone contemplating getting married or those who are recently married and suddenly that honeymoon is over and the real world has struck and everything isn't just wine and roses and bubbles. You don't just give up. You go through it. If you really knew what you were doing when you said I do, then you stick with it. You make it work. You work through it and don't just give up. I think too many just give up now because it's like, oh, this has gotten difficult. I can't do it. Well, maybe you should have been there.
Is it? Hey, big shout out to Tony D. Tony D is in the chat room. Um, so Rich, it's like people tend to give up. Not only that, but this pandemic has pushed people further to, I guess, give up even quicker.
No, I think what it is the pandemic has pushed people to really stay in closer proximity to each other than in some cases they may have ever really been for an extended period of time before. And in some cases, some people may be realizing, hey, there are qualities about this person I don't like that I didn't really see before, or because again I didn't have to spend 24/7 with them in the 365 for a year. Able to just look over certain things. Um, but that's one of the things psychiatrists are saying. Yeah, this especially now, you got a lot of people getting divorced. You got a lot of people having issues because they've just been in that close proximity with each other, and maybe have learned things about their significant other that they didn't really truly appreciate or didn't know about. But still, again, what I said before, the same thing. Well, it's funny. One thing I have always said to anyone about to get married or
Mm-hmm.
getting of a relationship is, and some may seem it as a little dour, but it never gets better than that first 6 months. That's the best it's ever going to be. And when I say that, I mean if there's something about a person you don't like and you think you can just look over it for that first 6 months, if you plan on making this a long term lifetime thing, it's going to start to annoy you more and more and more. So just, go into anything with eyes wide open, and yeah, everyone's got to adjust and make concessions. But if sometimes you can't make concessions for a lifetime, depending on what it is. If it's just someone likes to drop their clothes at the bed instead of putting them in a hamper, well, does that really matter for life? But you gotta look at all things before you jump into it.
That's true. That's true. It's just you look at nowadays. You look at divorce rate. Divorce rate being, I guess, pre-pandemic was 50%. I don't
Right.
know what it is post-pandemic.
Good question. Well, let's see what it turns out. Let's see what they start
It's
saying. Yeah.
and it's just like you remember when like the our parents would be like, "Hey, I mean, for the most part, I mean, not that divorces didn't happen in the
Right.
70s,
Right. They
60s,
did.
and 70s and 80s, which they did, but they were more inclined to stick it out.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed.
So you,
In some cases,
okay,
I'd say sure, maybe they stuck it out, and I think a lot of times they stuck it out for the sake of the kids.
yeah, yeah,
Then kids hit that 18, 19, 20-year-old stage, and the last one's out. It's like, all right, we got this. We're done. Thank you very much. Have a nice
right,
day.
right. I noticed years ago we used to see this couple who's been together for 27 years are calling it
Right.
that's it. And you're like, huh?
Right.
You're like, well, wait a minute. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And it's just one of those things. Not making this episode a relationship show or anything like that, but it's just you just kind of question some things in these times
Yep.
because like it's this is a once in a lifetime situation.
We hope.
We hope. We hope.
Ted hit a button there. We might have lost him. But going on what he's saying, yeah, we can only hope this is a once in a lifetime situation. And we can also hope that people are able to learn lessons from this. I think that's a key thing, is too, key factor as well.
Right. I just remember maybe 3 weeks in, it was like March of 2020. I was like, okay, this thing isn't coming to an end really quickly. Like, some of us expected. I would say I would raise my hand and say I was one of those that
Mhm.
thought that, okay, this is going to only be for a short period of time. And, it's just, you had to adjust
Yep.
because you're used to seeing your significant other, depending on your work schedule or
Right.
their work schedule.
And no matter what, if unless you're one of those, who were able to have both of you having the full work from home gig, no matter what, there's was a good 8 hours a day. You just didn't see the other person.
Right.
And it was in the middle of the day, not counting the sleeping hours, things like that. So,
Right.
for a lot of people, it puts significant stress on relationships.
I mean, so everyone talks about the stress it's put on kids and
Right.
children with remote school, but what about like you said, having to reestablish that relationship with that person, having to say, oh, okay, it's not 7 o'clock in the morning, and I'm going out the front door to go catch the train.
Mm-hmm.
That if that person was home, as many people were, we really weren't shut in place, but it kind of felt like it. Certain parts of it,
Oh, we
you know,
were at the beginning. I mean, this time last year, right? No one wanted to go outside or
right,
anything. You didn't want to go to the store. You wanted to stay in. I think we probably put in a good 4 to 6 weeks of strict, only going outside for absolute necessities, staying away from people, and everyone, then and New York was on lockdown, right? So yeah, we had that time frame where everyone was stuck in with everyone in their household.
I was talking with another friend, and it was just so funny because we were laughing about it today. Had a
Hmm.
total of two conversations with two longtime friends,
Right.
and one was like, "But isn't it strange?" And we laughed. He said, "Isn't it strange that the liquor stores weren't closed?"
Liquor stores, gas stations, and supermarkets.
And I'm wondering, like, liquor stores weren't closed because you needed that alcohol consumption to allow you to deal with your significant other.
Absolutely.
in the same household, So
Absolutely. You had to keep the liquor flowing because if you don't let people drink, oh Lord, they just will go completely crazy.
oh man. So hey, I guess we'll table this because your wife and my wife are probably listening or watching to this right now, like, the light bulb is going off.
Like, where was he running to every night? Ah,
Ah, there he goes. That's the reason why he was bringing all that beer and wine into the house.
like everyone else.
Right. Um, so as we segue from that, I guess unfortunately, quickly, Rich, uh, two more mass shootings today. One in Austin and one in Kenosha, Wisconsin. Rich, this is an everyday thing.
I really don't know any of the details on these. This is a day I have been out of touch. Um, what do we know about? So first, I'm going to ask: were either of the shooters apprehended alive? Do we even know that yet?
I believe one. You know what? I'm not even. I think one was. I think
Let me
one was apprehended alive.
let me see what I can track down here real quick.
I believe one was apprehended alive. Um, it's some crazy stuff. But we don't have a gun issue. We don't. We don't have a gun. We don't have a gun issue at all. Just in case if you thought we had a gun issue, we don't have one. Uh, and I'm going to put on the screen. I'm
Okay.
upload this.
3 people, 3 injured in Wisconsin.
I'm gonna take you, myself.
Yes.
So, Rich, this is in the last month.
Uh,
The mass shootings in the past month. I can count at least 30 that we've run into. Mass shootings in the past month. And it's like you name the state.
yeah.
So from Seattle, Washington, across down
Across the country.
to it's everywhere. It's happening. It's everywhere and it's happening. And there's no answer for it. Congress isn't doing a thing. You got, I guess, the president who can issue executive orders.
But what executive order do you issue? And we've had some of these conversations before.
Background checks, I guess.
Right. I was about to say, well, you have that already. You cannot get a pistol without a background check. Can't legally. Although if you're doing it otherwise, you're already criminal. So that one doesn't make a difference.
But what
Um,
about those gun shows?
you can't get a pistol at a gun show legally without a background check. And I got to
AR,
stress that we're legally here. It's
AR-15?
Well, that's a rifle. That's a difference. So
Okay.
and that's something I think a lot of people forget. Rifles, call it long arms, and pistols are treated separately. Two different things.
Okay.
Um, so again, legally, there's a different type of background check, but there's still a background check supposed to be when you purchase even a long arm. I can't just walk into Walmart and take one off the shelf and go to the register in New York. I gotta rephrase that because some states do have different rules. Um, so I am for pistols for sure. I fully support background checks, universal background checks. There, it makes sense. But I also feel, and a lot of people would argue with me and say, no, you shouldn't even have to do a background check. It's you're not. It's a right, not a privilege. Blah blah blah. I agree. It's a right, not a privilege. However, and I'm not going to use the phrase common sense because that's a demeaning phrase. I think makes the other person makes it sound like you're saying the other person doesn't have sense. I
Right.
think it's logical to ask for universal background checks for handguns because of course they can be carried and hidden and all that. Because I'm looking at it purely from law enforcement side of things. I feel that they should be able, if there's a call for an issue at a home, at a location, should be able to look up and see, all right, what could we be possibly running into?
Hmm.
What's registered at the home? So fine. And also, I mean, yeah, I still also say, well, if you've been convicted of violent felonies, no, you shouldn't have a pistol or a rifle. I mean, rifles kind of are tough to judge though, because I mean, there is again not in New York, not here, but there's the hunting factor. Rifles are a tool. They're both tools, but specifically rifles, long arms, are
Hmm.
tools. A lot of people use them for besides self defense, besides the sporting aspect. Um, and the other, the other thing is, if you say, well, let's do universal background checks, you got to put the full system in place if you want to add it in for all those other items. Because I forget the last number, but it's going up every month. 300 million out there firearms.
Yep.
You got to put something in place to support doing all those background checks. And
But Rich, as each, if I can just interject, as each of these mass shootings happen, Congress does their usual duck, walk, and talk show. And one side says we need to do something. The other side says it's mental health. And we wait, and then nothing happens. And then the next mass shooting, because I'm not going to say we had a year off. Mass shootings happened in 2020, but I will say that coronavirus had us consumed.
right, right,
COVID-19 had
right.
us consumed. So where we are now, we went from that to, okay, I guess as you and I both said, I guess COVID is over. We're back to mass shootings every day. We're back to a president, no matter whom it is, appearing to be lame duck, because outside of that executive order, no laws can get, nothing is permanent. As
I,
soon as that president of that party is out of office, the next president is going in there reversing everything.
yeah, or they can. No, that's true. Unless there's enough support from the people not to. And that's the thing. We still got to remember, we're northern East Coasters. Total different mindset than 100 miles inland from either
Yeah,
side. And
true.
that's just the long and short of it. And I again, I lean towards more yeah, it is a mental health issue than necessarily the tool issue. Do we need some regulation? Yes, no question. And like I said before, background checks, sure, do it. That which equates to gun registry, which is a slippery slope. But okay, definitely the background checks across the board. Do the same checks you got to do, full FBI check, felonies, all that for long arms and pistols. Absolutely. But I also kind of say, all right, once you've done that check, if you qualify, then you should be able to get whatever you want to get
Okay.
without limitation. Because again, everything goes on record, everything is registered, everyone knows, the law at least knows what you have. Um, yeah, I think I wonder if some of this is also, after COVID, kind of the bottle being shaken up and popping that cap off, and now all that excess pent up frustrations, energies, and everything is spewing all over the place. So if we're seeing a sudden run up from that, because again, just like we were talking earlier about the issues with relationships, the people with mental health issues have been cooped up in whatever home they've been in for the last year as well. And like anything else, you build up enough pressure, it's going to blow sooner or later. So I wonder if we're seeing some of that as well.
So what do you say to these mass shootings that are happening that are being done with guns that are purchased legitimately?
There's your
What's
mental
your
health,
answer to that?
right? There's your mental health issue, because that's the problem, that where the crux of the issue, right? If for the crimes that are committed with illegal weapons, well, the person's already a criminal regardless of how they got the weapon. That doesn't stop them from getting a weapon. It's already a crime. That's like the argument against the gun-free zones. Well, criminals not going to care that there's a sign on the fence, outside the school that says this is a gun-free zone. They're going to walk in anyway. They don't care.
Right.
Um, but yeah, so and again, that you mentioned about those being committed by legally owned weapons. Well, then, what is it about the person that made them, you know, blow a gasket? What made them suddenly decide they want to kill people? Um, but there's so what do? You can't constantly evaluate people's mental health. That's almost impossible at the scale we're talking. Um, and I don't know any details about these two recent killings, or so many of them. Were there issues that came up that got ignored? Are there things that there always seem to be items the day after that someone says, "Oh yeah, so and so was a little off the wall," or "Oh yeah, so and so." But then there's also a lot of them where they say, "No, I would never thought this person would have done that." Um, and then you have the different reasons. Of course, you have so many that happen for racial reasons, which there's no excuse for that. That's a whole nother topic. Um, and I don't know. There's no simple answer to it. Um, like I said, though, again, do the background checks. I think that's the one that there'll be a lot of backlash against it, but it's also the easiest one to get some agreements on because it's already something that's in place to a certain degree. You just have to expand it.
Hey, big shout out to Mike Patton. Mike, thank you for the Newsworthy Award.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike has some of the greatest content that we have on Haps TV. Mike not only does streaming, he's also a writer, is accomplished, he's a journalist. So make sure you follow Mike Patton. Mike's not feeling too good after his second shot, chills, body aches, and sinus issues. Mike, we wish you the very best.
Yes, Mike. Take the Tylenol. Had the same thing after my second shot.
Yes.
Do some Tylenol. I didn't have it too bad, just a little bit of chills. Ted used to joke about the Moderna nap. He had the tiredness, the chill. Thought someone turned on the air conditioner in the house.
Yes.
Do some Tylenol, but I hope you're feeling better. But it's whatever you're feeling is a whole lot better than what it could be otherwise.
That's true. That's true. So thank you for coming by to tell us how you are. And hopefully you're feeling better. And this Wednesday, you'll be talking about the AFC South on your weekly stream. So we talked about, I guess, relationships. We talked about COVID. We talked about, now basically the COVID shot is available everywhere, Rich.
Yep.
Wherever you go, most occasions. Well, I know in New York, but I'm thinking across the country, where a lot of places you can go into the sites, the vaccine centers, without an appointment.
Yep, it's opening up. I mean, that was the goal, right? What was it? He doubled the goal from 100 million in the first 100 days to 200 million in the first 100 days.
Yeah. So say what you want about his politics and whether he leans, he's center and maybe, he's center left, but maybe he's too far left for some people. Okay. And Mike says not necessarily everywhere in the South. And that's where, I hate to brag, Rich. I think that, New York just opens the floodgates.
Well, in New York's, it's, our governor has been at the center of this from the beginning. And let's face it, New York has a lot of money. New York has a lot of resources.
Yeah.
We can fortunately afford to spend what's needed to get spent to get things done where needed, and we have the infrastructure to put these things in place. The worst thing you think though is that, again, especially in the South, that the lack of distribution is across racial lines. And maybe I'm wrong, but that's the first thing I think about when I think about this.
I don't think you're wrong. I don't think you're wrong. I think depending on a specific area, there could be less of a quantity, or, the people of a specific area will have to travel to go get that vaccine.
Right.
where it's in areas that are, you know, how do we keep it clean and keep it PC?
More
Um,
rural. Rural.
yeah, yeah, and that's some of the stuff that we trip over because it appears to be the truth.
So I,
Um,
I, I wonder then, and again, this is just purely talking out of my head. I wonder then if we really have the need to have, say, National Guard, medics going door to door in the more rural areas that, Appalachia, for example, where, like you're saying, everyone maybe can't just jump into whatever vehicle to drive 50, 60,
yes,
80, whatever, no matter how far it is, to get to the next largest area, populated area, to get the shot. Maybe we need to do like, didn't I want to say that was smallpox that we did that. We were going door to door getting vaccines everywhere.
right.
And this is the same kind of situation. So maybe that's what we need to start looking at.
I know in some places they're doing the mobile buses where they're driving around in the neighborhoods,
That's great.
kind of like kind of like an ice cream truck. You
Right.
know,
Right.
the ice cream truck rides around the neighborhood.
Hmm.
They have these mobile buses, vaccination buses, where if you can't get to it, Mike chimed in and said he went to one where all he had to do was show up, but that wasn't set up front.
I wonder if, in some of those cases, I think they hold back because they don't want to get flooded with people. Well, not that it makes it right, but I think that's what happens. But especially at the beginning, there would have been thousands of people showing up to get that initial shot, and they would have been overwhelmed. I do think that we are probably at a better position now, where besides the fact, sure, we've opened it up to, at least in New York, right? Anyone 16 and over can get the shot now.
Right.
I think we should be at a space now where you can say, all right, you need a shot, go XYZ location and get the shot. Forget about signing up and registering and all that. Just get the shot.
Two quick stories. We're almost at the 30-minute mark. Mike chimed in and said churches where he went found out about it with 1 hour to spare. My wife got a text message about it, and that's how I found out. One of her
Mm.
sorority sisters. And I'm just chime in and say, Mike, I got my shot back in January through my church also. And it's one of those things. If you didn't know, you're in the know.
Right.
And it's just so crazy about stuff like this that it should just be made readily available to everyone. I mean, maybe that's asking too much. Maybe it's not. But I mean, at this point, I mean, you kind of wonder because they said about 200 million people have received at least one shot. 200 people have received at least one shot. And he believes it's 16 and up here in Tennessee, but he's not sure. Georgia is also 16 and up. So definitely doing the right thing. Vaccines, but like I said, now you're at the point, Rich, where those mobile buses, the mobile trucks might need to be dispatched.
Right. Agreed. Agreed. And but you have to do it with that a little bit of organization and notice, because unfortunately we still have a whole bunch of people who are like, no, I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you choose not to do it, that's your right. But if you
You're
are a
right.
person who's in need, who just can't get to it, who doesn't have a
Right.
car or
Right.
doesn't have a computer, and unfortunately doesn't have a loved one or someone younger in your household that will sign you up or put you in a car and get you there,
Mm-hmm.
then that's where I look at the mobile location, the mobile buses that are in the neighborhood. Um, of course, it might be something that's available up here and hasn't reached down south, but if that's the case, it's unfortunate.
Yeah.
Uh, we'll go quickly into, I guess, two fun topics. Your thoughts on the Winter
Falcon
Soldier?
and the Winter Soldier. So I caught up. I'm thoroughly enjoying that series. I can't wait to see how it ends. Um, I don't, I really had gotten out of comics by the time. If I believe that the storyline they're presenting here is somewhat based upon a storyline in the comics. Is that correct?
Right.
Because I don't know who that character they introduced is supposed to be. Um, but it obviously leads to more. I'm thinking that we're not just going to see the end. Just one more episode left, right? So I don't believe we're going to see the end of this character when we get next week's episode. But I'm like where they're leading this. I'm trying to make this spoiler free. Um, what they've done with Cap specifically, that storyline, you could almost see that coming. The character that they put in for Cap, I guess they cast him because he just didn't seem the goody guy that you thought they would have put for Captain America. Um, I'm thinking I really want to see what they do between Falcon and Winter Soldier with the Cap because they almost makes it look like they want to have him be like joint Captain Americas the way they're presenting it right now. Um, but it's looking pretty good. I like what's going on.
What about the social commentary, Rich? The and maybe I wasn't expecting that, the social commentary
Mm-hmm.
in
Mm-hmm.
episode 5. All it's been littered all through the episode. I mean, all through the series, all the previous 5 episodes. Um, the drama and the trouble that Falcon runs into, Sam
Right.
Wilson runs into, living an ordinary life.
I
That
you
racism
know
is real.
I I was kind of surprised they went that route because you still figure everyone in the world right knows he's an Avenger. So why are they putting him in that situation where I guess it's because it's his family, right? His family are still normal civilians, if you want to call them that,
Mm-hmm.
and he's just doing what he can to support his family and calling on his community, which is great. I did like the items they presented as far as um and I forget his name, but the older gentleman, the older black gentleman who had been given the super soldier serum
Isaiah
and the
Bradley.
experiment. Yes, thank you. The experimentation that was done on him and how they portrayed him being treated. And Sam, coming to realize is like, okay, wow, there's a lot more to this story than that he didn't really know and didn't understand, and maybe give him a little more perspective on, as the line was, you wouldn't want to carry that shield, and if you did, you wouldn't really want to do it because of what happened and the back history to it. So it's interesting the way they're making that play out. And I think the social commentary is good, because we know there's parallels to the real world.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely. There hasn't been any parts of this series so far that I haven't liked. This has lived up to so far to my expectation. I like the cameo. I like when that came in. I kind of had a heads up on the cameo prior to, because though the person who shows up in the cameo, it didn't leak, but you knew someone was coming in episode 5.
Right. Okay.
So that was good. I'm looking forward to. I mean, if I'm a star, another good question from Mike Patton is, who is the power broker? That's another one where I'm leaning one way, but you're kind of like unsure.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm a star who's a part of the Marvel universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, the hell with me having a movie. Let me do a 6 or 8 episode TV show.
At this point, that looks like the better route, right?
Yeah.
It cost the studio is probably the same amount to make because the quality on this is fantastic. This could
Yes.
easily have been big screen, no question about it. Um, yeah, and why not? That way you can do a whole bunch of shorter stories. Maybe for the actor, it's less time commitment. They can still do other things, and start treating these almost like it's like I said, short stories, comic books on TV. Get them
Yeah,
in, get them out. 1, 2, 3, at one and done, 5 and done, 6 and done. However you want to work it. I think it's a great idea.
I do too. I think there's no way, if I was, what's the name? If I was an actor, there was no way I'd be like, give me the TV series, I want this played out over 6 or 8 episodes
Yep.
or whatever, rather than a 2-hour movie and everything is kind of crammed in there.
And I wonder what the money is. And that's
Yeah,
still a
yeah.
thing. You got box office dollars coming in. With this, it's they're only getting whatever the negotiation is and a piece of those subscription dollars.
Right. Want to go into Mike chimes in, says cannot wait until Loki and the Time Variance Authority come on next. Marvel and I get to see Guju Matha Ra.
Big win.
Big win. What's your thoughts on now that you've seen it?
TWD
season 10. You've seen the extended season. It's 20 episodes or 22 episodes or
I
it
mean,
was 16 episodes and then 6 bonus episodes.
Yes, I enjoyed it. I was very happy to get rid of and see the end of the Whisperers. Though I'm not going to say I was pleased, satisfied with how they did it, but it needed to get done. I like the extended episodes, getting a little background story and everyone see what they're doing as things are going. The Negan episode was good. It was nice to get. It was interesting seeing Negan's background story.
Yes.
Again, I don't know if this was at what point, if it was even presented in the comic books, but it was something that was necessary. I think just to understand what drives him to be the man he is.
Yes.
And also, do we believe? Yeah, I'm sorry. This is going to be spoilers. Do we believe the repentance? I mean, the fireplace scene. I'll keep that down like that. Is this really him saying, "All right, I'm done. This is it. It's over"? Or is there always that little, question? Can he will he pick up another tool when he needs to? You know what I mean? I enjoyed it. No problems. I think they redeemed what I thought was a failing season.
I thought season 10 was probably the best season that I've watched of The Walking Dead since maybe season 4 or season 5.
Yes.
Season 10, I like the character arc. I like how the Whisperer story was told. I like the bonus episodes. A lot of people had a problem with those 6 bonus episodes because they were filmed during COVID.
Right.
So on some of the episodes, you could see there was, maybe 1 or 2 people in the entire episode. And if you look at it close enough, there was a little trick photography going on some occasions where the people weren't actually as close as you thought they were. Mm-hmm. I thought it was helpful. I think of the 6 bonus episodes, 3 were helpful to push along the story.
Yep.
The other 3 were filler.
Yes.
Here's Negan did follow the comic.
Okay.
Some slight changes to it. I think we're going to be in for an action-packed final season. And the final season will be in 3 sessions, 3 8-episode sessions. So to span over 2 years.
So final 2 seasons.
Yes. But that's okay. They could have just said, hey, here's 2 seasons, 12 episodes apiece, and call it a day.
Yeah.
But they're stretching it out. They're giving you 24 episodes. Yes.
The boys is crazy. That definitely second season was even better than the first season. I thought first season was good. Second season was off the hook.
Yeah, definitely. The Boys is a definite watch. It's not only a definite watch; it's a definite rewatch.
Yeah. You to pick up little things here and there. Absolutely,
definite rewatch. And the post shows.
Yep.
With what's her name?
No, I'm thinking the other one's The Walking Dead's Chris Hardwick stuff.
I forgot her name. She does the post shows for The Boys. Really.
Aisha Tyler.
Definite great rewatch.
Yep.
I don't know. It's one of those things where these shows have gotten so much better. Season 3 is filming in Canada now. Good. So I'm thinking if season 3 is filming now, we'll see it not this summer, but probably next summer.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because, all the
a year from now.
Post-production work, unlike pre-production work you and I do.
Our pre-pro. There it is. Pre-pro reference for the episode.
So that was Walking Dead, and also The Winter Soldier. It's going to be exciting to see Loki TV show. I'm not so hyped. I don't know about you. Are you hyped for the Hawkeye show?
No. I mean, of course I'll watch it, and I expect good things from it, but it doesn't have me excited. I'm not just like waiting with bated breath. But I want to see it when it comes out.
And supposedly there's going to be a Wakanda series.
I heard a little bit about that. I don't have the details. I mean, that could play out well. But what are they going to do? Are they going to create, will there be a new Black Panther? A new T'Challa?
That's the
could be.
That's the $1 million question. I think. I mean, I understand. I think they should.
Young Avengers.
Yeah, I think they should recast T'Challa's role.
Or I really do. What's in the case? What's in the case at the end of Winter Soldier?
What's in the case, and there will be no recast of the Black Panther. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if that's a great idea or not. Because if you look at it, we all love Chadwick Boseman.
I mean, is it a recast on? Because you would think that the Black Panther character was the king.
Well, the mantle.
The man, right? He's the
mantle
of Wakanda. So
right.
Someone else has to fill in that hotspot. Someone else has to fill the suit. You don't have to recast it and say it's T'Challa again. It's another person, but it's the character.
It could be Shuri.
Could be anybody.
It could be anybody.
Yeah.
So, but I think the two things people are conflating are T'Challa's character and the mantle. It's two different things.
Correct.
The mantle has to continue because there were like 15 different versions of the Black Panther.
Right. But
T'Challa is the other thing. They got some explaining to do. What else?
We need a Falcon suit for the Falcon. I like that idea, Mike. That would make sense since we already saw him give up the old suit. That's a good one. I like that.
Yes.
Yep, that's probably it. You're right. You called it.
Yes. So, other than that, what else do you have on the docket for this week? Any idea? Any things you want to get off your chest or anything like that?
No, this week, just going in, doing the work that's got to be done, getting ready for the spring. Like we started off this conversation with next weekend, this week, it's getting the house all in order again for the summer.
So, like I said, I'm going to play it by ear, but I'm leaning toward because we have so much of that moss on the fence.
Oh, that's right. You have the PVC fence. Yes. Yeah. So you can get a spray for that and then spray it down and then hit it with a pressure washer and it cleans it right off.
But the thing is, when I take the pressure washer out and I get started in one area, you're going to just want to go the full circumference.
So start early.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's an all day. You want to talk about some back-breaking work?
Well, I got a pressure washer, so we can both start on one end and work our way towards the middle. So fire up that grill, and I'm easy.
That and some non-alcoholic beers for you.
Non-alcoholic. Should we start early? I can burn it all off by the time I have to drive back home.
Oh my goodness. Mike says, watch Emergency Awesome to get breakdowns of the show. Emergency Awesome is probably one of the best Twitter accounts.
Really? I got to
Yes,
make a note for that one.
he's one of the best Twitter accounts that gives you all the breakdown to Marvel, DC, uh, Star Wars. They didn't really do too much. Did they do Star Trek? I think they might have done Star Trek. He does really all the hot stuff.
Okay. I see
He'll
it.
throw out a video and we'll get at least 1 million views on it, just like that.
Mm.
So that's kind of where we are.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a totally. Oh my goodness! They did Godzilla. We got to talk about Godzilla. Hey, did you get a chance to watch Godzilla?
Yes.
King Kong.
Yes.
All right. You want to talk about it next week because we're at the 45-minute mark.
Next week. That'll be our topic of conversation.
We'll talk about it. We'll talk about the character development or lack of. We'll talk about watching movies on HBO Max versus wasting $40 going into the movie theater, buying a popcorn and all the above.
That's
Tony
why
D
we have
gives
a media room now.
Tony D gives Godzilla a 6.5 out of 10.
I'm right there with you, Tony. You know what? What the heck? I mean, it's a short conversation. We can go for it now. Come on, like you said, character development. Come on, but see, I give it. I would also give it that same 6.5 out of 10. But that's what I expected because there's not supposed to be. The only characters are Godzilla and King Kong. Everything else is fluff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the CGI, the graphics, the animation, it's great, no problem. I kind of like how they handled Godzilla. I like how they handled the radioactive breath of his. I was good with all that. You knew what was going to happen. You know it was going to become a team up thing and against Mecha Godzilla. That was fine. I mean, there was no more to expect out of that movie than what we got.
Okay.
So it was only going to be a 6.5 out of 10 movie, but for what it was great. It was enjoyable. I would not have been happy if I had seen it in the theaters at 9 o'clock at night. I would have been okay with it if I caught the 11:30 a.m. matinee like Ted does.
Yes, for $6.50, you can go into your local matinee. Well, whenever they decide to open it,
right?
But I don't know if you noticed, Rich, Marvel movies aren't available nowadays in the matinee.
They're smart.
You're paying full price if you want to see a Marvel movie, and I'm like, what is this? But yeah, I think watching it on HBO Max, great idea.
Yep.
Put it on the big screen, sit back there. You got a good 90 minutes.
Don't
look for anything from any of the characters.
Right. The story was okay. Like I said, the story was fine. The scenes on the ocean was a little questionable there, but they played it off pretty well. Yeah, I got what they expected. I would have. I can see another movie. Sure, let's do that again for Godzilla. He's the ever loving character. There'll always be some reason to bring him back. Maybe we do. What was the Godzilla versus? I'm trying to think of the old ones, not Monster X. Godzilla versus all monsters. I think that was the one where everything was in there. Maybe we do that one over again. Kong was brawl. Yeah, Kong was good. Kong was definitely good. Old man Kong.
Oh God. I don't even want to talk about this. He said I'm going to bring it up. Y'all watching Space Jam?
No. There's my answer. No.
I don't think so. I mean, you know what? Maybe if my son was like 6 years old again, and maybe I would do it, but now he's 13 and he's just like, nah, I'm good.
My sons were 6 years old or younger when the first one came out. I didn't watch it then either.
You
might be right, Mike. I mean, could be again. Entertainment. That's all. Mortal Kombat. Yeah, that's another one. I'll catch that one on whatever home available. Whatever it's on
HBO
for home
Max this week.
viewing. Is this
HBO
week
Max.
really? All
Yeah.
right. I will sit back and watch that because again, I'm expecting a 6.5 out of 10 film. So if I get
Yeah.
that, I'm good.
All right. We are at the 50-minute mark. Richie V, best ways to get in contact with you?
The Twitter's Late Night Rich.
And I am the real Ted Hicks. Want to thank Tony D and Mike Patton.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
You can find them on social media. You can find them in the interwebs. Ways to find this show is latenightparents.com.